If your garden needs fertilizer every single year just to survive, that's not gardening. That's dependency. And someone built that dependency on purpose. Here's what it costs you. $400 to $600 a year, every year, on products that do nothing to fix the actual problem. Your soil gets weaker, you buy more. Same cycle. Your grandmother never played that game. Her soil got richer every year, not poorer. That wasn't luck. That was knowledge they don't sell in bags. Today, I'm giving you 5 of those methods, step by step, free. Method 1. It comes from the Amazon, and it is over 500 years old. It is called Biochar, and it may be the single most permanent soil improvement you will ever make. When Spanish explorers reached the Amazon in 1542, they found civilizations growing abundant food on soil that shouldn't have supported a single tomato plant. Tropical soil is notoriously poor, but somehow, these people had created patches of incredibly fertile black earth that could grow anything. We now call this soil terra preta, and it's still there today. After 500 years, it remains so fertile that local people mine it and sell it as potting soil. The secret is biochar, essentially charcoal made from wood mixed with organic matter. When wood burns slowly with limited oxygen, it creates a porous material. Think of a tiny sponge with millions of holes. That structure acts like a hotel for beneficial bacteria and fungi, while holding on to nutrients and water that would otherwise wash away. In Oregon, adding biochar to wheat fields raised yields by 30%. And here is the remarkable part. Biochar lasts thousands of years in soil. You are not improving your garden for this season. You are building fertility for generations. Here is exactly how to make it and use it. Use a large metal barrel or a fire pit. Fill it 3/4 full with untreated wood. Oak and maple work best. Light the fire and let it burn until the flames die down and you see glowing embers. That is the critical moment. Pour water over everything or cover with a metal lid to stop the burn before it turns to ash. What remains should be lightweight black chunks that make a ringing sound when tapped together. Do not add fresh biochar directly to your soil. It will pull nutrients out. You need to charge it first. Mix it with an equal amount of compost and let it sit for 2 weeks, kept moist. Then, work it into the top 6 inches of your garden bed at about 10 to 20% of the total soil volume. The effects are not immediate, but they are permanent, and they compound every year. That's biochar, still working in Amazon soil after 500 years. Method 2 costs almost nothing, and the ancient Romans built an entire empire's food supply on it. Seeds and time. That is literally all this costs. Certain plants, peas, beans, clover, can pull nitrogen straight out of the air and store it in the soil for the next crop. They do this through tiny organisms in their roots that act like a natural fertilizer factory underground. These crops add the equivalent of several bags of fertilizer per season for the cost of seeds. They also break up hard soil, prevent weeds, and feed the living organisms that keep your soil healthy. Here is how to use this in your garden. Fall is the ideal time. After you harvest your summer vegetables, instead of leaving beds bare, plant them with cover crops. Crimson clover works beautifully for mild winters. It grows fast, produces gorgeous red flowers, and builds soil nitrogen all season. For colder climates, Austrian winter peas handle frost down to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Cut your cover crop when it is about halfway to flowering. Cut it ground level, leave it to wilt for a few days, then work it into the top few inches of soil. Wait 3 to 6 weeks before planting your next crop. One practical note: The first time you plant clover or peas in a new area, buy a small packet of inoculant powder from a seed company and coat the seeds before planting. It costs a few dollars and ensures the nitrogen-fixing organisms are present from day one. 3 methods in, not a single dollar spent on fertilizer. Now, let's go back to 1894, to a discovery so simple that chemical companies spent decades trying to bury it. Method 3. In 1894, a man named Julius Hensel published a book that made chemical companies very uncomfortable. His discovery was almost embarrassingly simple. Hensel noticed that farmland near glaciers, where ancient ice had ground mountains into fine powder, produced extraordinarily fertile soil and unusually nutritious food. His question? What if we just spread that rock powder on our gardens? Modern research proved him right. In Michigan, adding rock dust to cornfields more than doubled yields, and the food grown in that soil had 28% more protein and 90% more potassium. Not just more food, better food. The reason is simple. Healthy soil needs dozens of minerals, not just the 3 that synthetic fertilizers provide. Rock dust delivers the full spectrum, slowly, naturally, exactly the way plants evolved to receive them. Here is how to use it. Buy basalt or glacial rock dust from a garden center. It is often inexpensive, a byproduct of quarry operations. Apply 5 to 10 pounds per 100 square feet in early spring or fall, worked into the top 2 to 3 inches of soil. This is not a quick fix. Rock dust works slowly over months and years, but your plants will become more resilient, better colored, and more nutritious season after season. Minerals handled. Now structure. Because fertile soil is not just about nutrients, it is about architecture. And nobody understood that better than German farmers who learned from watching forests. Method 4 comes from Germany. Walk through any old-growth forest and you will see the most fertile soil on Earth, built entirely from rotting logs that nobody cleaned up. German farmers decided to recreate that system on purpose. They called it Hugelkultur. The idea is to bury logs and branches under your raised bed. As the wood slowly breaks down over years, it creates an underground sponge that holds enormous amounts of water and releases a steady supply of nutrients. These beds can hold 5 times their weight in water, meaning they practically water themselves once established. The first year is modest as the system gets started. By year 2, these beds become extraordinarily productive, and they keep improving every single year after that. Here is how to build one. Lay down cardboard directly on the ground first. This suppresses weeds and attracts earthworms. Then build your wood layer. Logs and large branches on the bottom, smaller sticks filling in the gaps. Good choices are oak, maple, apple, birch, or willow. Avoid black walnut or cherry, which release natural chemicals that can harm other plants, and never use treated lumber. Pile the wood about 3 feet high. It will settle as it decomposes. Soak everything thoroughly. Then cover with a layer of grass clippings or kitchen scraps to help the wood break down, followed by 6 to 12 inches of good soil or compost as your planting layer. Finish with a thick layer of straw or leaves on top. You can plant immediately. By the second year, most gardeners find their Hugelkultur beds need little or no additional watering, even through dry summers. A raised bed that waters itself and gets more fertile every year with 0 effort. That is Hugelkultur. The last method today is even simpler. No digging, no special materials, and it's the one most gardeners wish they had started years earlier. Method 5. In the mid-20th century, a gardener named Ruth Stout had one radical idea that changed everything. Stop digging. Her insight was that the soil already knows how to take care of itself, if you stop getting in the way. Lasagna gardening is simply layering organic materials directly on top of whatever is already there. Grass, weeds, it doesn't matter. The layers break down over time and create rich, living soil without any digging or tilling. One Illinois farmer who switched to this approach watched his soil go from nearly dead to thriving over 19 years, with organic matter more than tripling. Here is how to build your first lasagna bed. Choose your spot. Lay down a thick layer of cardboard or newspaper directly on the grass, overlapping the edges by 6 inches and watering it down. This smothers what's underneath and eventually feeds the worms. Now, alternate layers. 2 inches of brown material, dry leaves, straw, shredded paper, followed by 2 inches of green material, kitchen scraps, grass clippings, coffee grounds, aged manure. Keep going until you reach about 3 feet high. Water between each layer. Top it with a few inches of finished compost and let it sit for 6 months to a year. When you can no longer tell what any of the original layers were, it is ready. If you want to plant sooner, you can dig individual holes down through the layers, fill them with compost, and plant transplants directly. The surrounding layers will continue breaking down while your plants grow normally. 5 methods, all working with your soil instead of against it. Let us bring this home. The USDA just committed $700 million to help farmers return to exactly these kinds of methods, because the research is now undeniable. Soil managed the traditional way holds more water, sequesters more carbon, and grows food with higher nutritional value than anything coming out of a chemical bag. This isn't nostalgia. It's 7,000 years of proof that we walked away from for 60 years and are now paying to get back. You don't need to start with all 5. Pick the one that fits your backyard right now. Maybe it's lasagna gardening because you have a patch of grass you want to convert. Maybe it's biochar because you already have a fire pit. Maybe it's simply throwing some rock dust down this weekend. Start there. Come back and tell me in the comments which one you chose. I read every single one. And next week, I'm going to show you the specific plants that work best in each of these systems, the ones that were quietly removed from American seed catalogs in the 1970s. I'm glad you found this channel. See you next week.